Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is quit. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or ways to use this verb. The first way you might hear the verb quit used is to mean to stop a normal action, an expected action, or a necessary action. I chose this verb because I'm thinking about the new year. And it's very common in the United States and other places around the world for people to make goals for the next year. And this verb comes up quite often as people think through their goals. So they might want to quit a certain behavior that perhaps is negative. An example of this is to quit smoking. To stop this normal action for some. A second way you might hear the verb quit used is to mean to give up employment or a job. So this isn't just the action of ending the day and going home, but this is stopping permanently to work at a particular location or for a particular employer. A third way to use the verb quit is to mean to admit defeat, right? So again, this is used very similarly to give up, like I'll just stop. You're obviously going to win, I quit. A fourth way to use the verb quit is to mean to relieve, release, or set free. This definition and usage might be more common in literature, particularly stories that were written a long time ago. So you might hear or see a character quit himself or herself of worry. So kind of relieving or releasing that fear or concern that they have. A fifth way you might hear the verb quit used is in relation to our phones and computers. So now this verb gets used to mean to exit an application or a program. You should know that quit is an irregular verb. To make the progressive tense, we're going to double the T and then add ing. Now, I know some of my former students are looking at this and saying, wait a second, Katie, this doesn't end in consonant, vowel, consonant. It ends vowel, vowel, consonant. Why are we doubling the T? It's just an exception to our normal rule. So I don't have a good reason why, but you should add an extra T and then the ing. You'll notice the past tense and participle forms of this verb just stay the same, quit. So same spelling, same pronunciation. If you were to look up this word in a dictionary, you will see another past tense form. So you'll see an extra T and then an ED to form quitted. And I chose not to put this on the screen or in our notes because I don't think it's something you're going to hear or see very often in the United States. I think this might be a little more common in the United Kingdom and perhaps other countries that speak English. You are most likely going to see and hear this irregular form of the past and participle for the verb quit. You'll be happy to know I don't have any additional phrasal verbs that change or alter the meaning of our main verb and the definitions we looked at. So that's going to allow us to continue practicing making some WH questions. We've been doing this slowly over the course of a couple weeks now, and I thought it would be good to include the present perfect in terms of how to form a WH question. And again, if you've had me in class, you know that I like to call these more information questions. I try and distinguish them from yes and no questions. So all of these that we're going to look at, you cannot just say yes or no to it. It just won't make any sense. So in answering one of these questions, you need to be able to provide some more information. So let's take a look at the structure of making a present perfect more information or WH question. Again, like all the others, we'll start with a question word. I have some examples here on the screen that you can follow along with. After that, we're going to use have or has, depending on what our subject is. So you can see have matches up with I, you, we, and they. Has matches with the subjects he, she, and it. After our subject, you'll find the participle form of a verb, and then possibly some additional information to give more context to the question. So like we've done before, I can kind of mix and match all of these things, right? So I could ask somebody, where have you driven? But we could also do, where has he driven? You can make lots of different questions with this. You're welcome to hit pause on the screen and practice making a few on your own, of course. But now we are going to continue making some present perfect questions with our verb of the day, quit. So we'll run through a few different examples, and we'll start with making a location question. To do that, we want to start with the question word where. Okay? And I'm going to note, it was hard for me to make a question about location with the verb quit. Don't think this is something you're going to hear very often. And it might not make a ton of sense, but you'll see the structure, and I think that's important. So somebody could ask, where has the car quit working? So again, we're following our structure of question word has, the car is our subject, then we have our participle form of the verb, which is just the same as our base verb. The other thing I want to point out in this question, and you'll notice it in others, you will most commonly see gerunds or ing forms of other verbs that are acting like nouns in sentences after this verb quit. So you're not going to see the infinitive. That's to plus a base verb. So again, be prepared. Lots of examples of that. But the word working in my first example is a gerund. Okay? Now let's look at making a question about time. For this, I'm going to use the question word when. And again, we'll follow the same structure. When have the applications quit running? Another gerund there. We can use the question word how to ask about the manner in which something is done. So an example of that, how has she quit smoking? What did she do to be able to stop that? And again, smoking, another gerund. We can also use the question word why to ask for the reason, to help explain what motivated somebody to do a particular action. Here's an example of that. Why have so many healthcare professionals quit their jobs? If you've been following the news, you might have read stories about a large number of nurses, doctors, and other healthcare professionals who have decided to quit their jobs connected to the pandemic. And another determiner, so here we're asking for the object of a particular action. What has he quit doing? So again, all of those follow our structure we looked at earlier. I'm going to point out two more questions. Another determiner, so again, asking the object that's receiving an action. What's different about which is that it's going to be followed by another noun, which the noun is going to help describe sort of the choices someone is making. So let's look at an example sentence. Which sport has she quit? So maybe someone was telling a story and you didn't quite hear. So in asking this question, right, we're asking someone to make a choice. Was it soccer? Was it basketball? Was it something else? The other type of question that sort of breaks our normal format are when we ask about the person or the subject who is responsible for the action. So when we use the question word who, that is our subject. There won't be another. So an example of that, who has quit their job this year? Right? So we go from has to the participle. No subject in between. Now let's take a look at some related words and phrases to our verb quit. The first word we're going to look at is the noun quitter. This is a bit informal, but it generally means a person who gives up easily or doesn't have the courage or determination to finish a task. I feel like this is probably a word we hear children use more than adults. So encouraging somebody not to give up, perhaps, right? So someone might be kind of frustrated, they're losing a particular game, and so they go, I quit, right? And the next person or their friend says, don't be a quitter, let's finish the game. Who knows, maybe you could still win. The next phrase that we're going to talk about is quitting something cold turkey. And this might sound funny, but again, you might hear this connected to New Year's resolutions or New Year's goals that people tend to set for themselves. So if you quit something cold turkey, it means you have stopped doing something abruptly. And that differs from doing something gradually. Let me give you an example of this. I mentioned many people make a goal to quit smoking. So let's pretend somebody on average maybe smokes 5 cigarettes a day. If they want to try and quit gradually, they might say, okay, this week I'm only going to smoke 4 cigarettes a week. And then the week after that, they say, okay, I'm only going to smoke 3 cigarettes a week. That would be gradual, right? Until they get to 2, 1, and hopefully 0. To quit something cold turkey and do it abruptly means a person maybe was smoking 5 cigarettes today, tomorrow, 0. They're just going to stop. So you've heard me now sort of slowly explain quit something cold turkey, but here's what it would look like in a sentence. I heard that she quit smoking cold turkey. So again, that idea of stopped abruptly. The next phrase you might hear someone say is to don't quit your day job. And what this means is someone is saying do not leave your current employment in order to pursue some sort of passion or ambition. Many times it's used when someone has a hobby or an interest and they're thinking about pursuing that hobby or interest as their full-time career. So how you might hear it used, I think, would generally be in conversation. It's going to tend to be spoken more than written, I think. So person A might say something like, did you see me act in that play? I think I'll go to Hollywood. I'm going to be an actor. I just know I'm going to be fantastic and I'm going to be successful. Someone else might say, whoa, don't quit your day job, right? So they might think the person isn't really good enough to be in professional movies and TV shows. They might also think it's just a very hard thing to pursue and be successful in. So that there are kind of 2 reasons people might say don't quit your day job. My dad, I think, would say this to my brother and me sometimes as we tried out new skills and kind of saying like, whoa, I don't think this is your strong suit. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.